In the heart of northern Nigeria, under the scorching sun and cloudless skies, a woman named Aisha Gambo defied every stereotype. At just 32, she was already a legend in Kaduna's trucking routes. Tall, firm-voiced, and unshakable, Aisha drove a 12-wheeler cargo truck through dangerous terrains, from the chaotic markets of Kano to the remote mining towns in Plateau State. Unlike most women, she wasn't raised to cook and wait for marriage. Her father, a former military logistics officer, taught her how to drive trucks before she turned 18. After his mysterious death during a fuel supply mission, Aisha took over the family's small logistics company. She was no ordinary driver, she was a symbol of strength in a male-dominated world. But Aisha never drove alone. Her companion was Rambo, a fierce Belgian Malinois K9 trained by the Nigerian army. Her late father had rescued Rambo as a pup during a Boko Haram raid, and Aisha raised and trained him under military guidance. Now, 6 years old, Rambo was her shadow, her protector, and her family. It was a Wednesday morning when the unease began. Aisha had just delivered a load of diesel to a construction site in Jos and was returning empty toward Kaduna. She noticed the battered grey SUV tailing her from the old abattoir road. She switched lanes twice. The SUV did too. Aisha's grip on the wheel tightened. The truck's CB radio was dead, an anomaly she couldn't ignore. She reached for her phone but found it wasn't charging. Sabotage. She couldn't be sure. When she pulled into an isolated rest stop to investigate the truck's rear tires, the SUV parked a few meters away. 4 men stepped out. They didn't look like mechanics. They looked like vultures circling a wounded animal. One of them, tall with a scar across his left cheek, called out with a mocking grin. "Madam driver, you need help. This road gets plenty thieves. Oh. Maybe we escort you." Aisha's heart thumped. She knew their kind, opportunists who preyed on lone women. She pretended to check her tires while calculating her next move. Suddenly, Rambo leapt down from the cabin, ears up, teeth bared. The men froze. One reached into his jacket, bad idea. With the speed of a striking cobra, Rambo lunged at him, knocking the weapon from his hand with terrifying precision. The scar-faced man backed away, startled. "That's a trained dog." Aisha didn't respond. She was already inside the truck, starting the engine, while Rambo stood guard outside like a silent warrior. But this was only the beginning. Unknown to Aisha, one of the men had recognized her. Not just as a driver, but as the daughter of someone from their past. Someone whose legacy was still haunted in shadows. That night, as Aisha drove under the starless sky, her instincts screamed danger. The roads weren't safe, not just because of thieves, but because of secrets her father died keeping. The night air was thick with dust and uncertainty as Aisha's truck thundered down the lonely Kaduna Expressway. Her eyes darted to the rearview mirror every few seconds. The SUV had vanished, for now. But something didn't sit right. Rambo sat upright in the passenger seat, ears twitching, head constantly scanning the roadside as though sensing something she couldn't see. Aisha wasn't just paranoid. She was experienced. Over the years, she'd fended off petty thieves, crooked police, and even near-fatal accidents. But this felt personal. By midnight, she pulled into an old mechanic's shed off the main road to rest. The shed belonged to an old family friend, Baba Gabra, a wiry man in his late 60s who had known Aisha's father from their days in the military transport corps. He welcomed her with a hug, but his eyes held concern. "I heard strange men asking questions about you," he muttered as he led her inside. "They said they were from customs, but I saw no ID. They weren't looking for diesel, they were looking for you." Aisha's spine stiffened. "Why would they be looking for me?" Gobra hesitated before answering. "Because of your father. He didn't just die on that mission." He was silenced. Aisha sat still. The room felt colder. Gobra pulled out an old, dust-covered metal box from a hidden compartment under the floor. Inside were papers, a map, and a faded USB drive. Your father asked me to give you this only if you were ever in danger. I think that time has come. Before she could ask further, Rambo growled, low, deep, primer. Aisha moved to the window and saw headlights approaching. 3 vehicles this time. They found you, Cobra whispered. Go. Take the back road through Untill Hills. I'll distract them. Aisha didn't want to leave the old man behind, but he insisted. Go, child. I served with your father. I won't dishonor his memory now. She ran back to the truck, Rambo by her side. The engine roared to life. Dust flew as she veered off the tarred road into the bush trail. Behind her, gunshots rang out. Gabriel was holding them off. Tears blurred her vision as she drove deeper into the night. The map from the box sat beside her, along with the USB. What was her father hiding? And why were men still willing to kill for it? Suddenly, a log blocked a narrow path ahead. A trap. As she hit the brakes, armed men emerged from the shadows. This time, they weren't pretending to be customs officers. You think you can run, Aisha Gambo, the scar-faced man snarled. You're just like your father, stubborn and stupid. But they'd forgotten one thing. Rambo leapt from the truck like a demon unleashed, catching the first man by the arm before he could raise his weapon. Chaos erupted. Gunshots cracked through the night. But Aisha wasn't running anymore. This time, she was ready to fight back and uncover the truth. Blood stained the dirt road as the chaos unfolded beneath the dim moonlight. Rambo moved like a shadow with teeth, biting, dodging, disabling. One of the assailants screamed as the dog dragged him to the ground. Aisha rolled out from the truck, grabbed a crowbar from her side compartment, and swung it with full force into the ribs of a man trying to climb into the truck cabin. It was survival, instinctive, brutal, and fast. But she was outnumbered. Rambo could only hold off so many. Another man circled around the truck with a machete in hand, eyes burning with rage. Aisha backed away slowly, her breath ragged, hands clenched. Just as he charged, a loud gunshot split the air, and the attacker crumpled to the ground. From the trees emerged a slim figure in camouflage, Sergeant Miriam Dunlody, a woman Aisha hadn't seen in over a decade. They had trained together at a military driving boot camp years ago, before Aisha left the Defense Corps to run her father's logistics business. Miriam didn't wait for a reunion. Get in the truck. Now. Reinforcements are minutes away. How did you find me? Aisha gasped. The USB drive, Miriam replied. Your father sent me instructions to watch over you, in case the past returned. Back in the truck, they sped through the narrow bush path toward an abandoned telecommunications station in Untill. The USB held encrypted files from years ago, evidence her father had collected during military fuel supply missions. It contained names, routes, and videos, proof that high-ranking officials had been siphoning millions in fuel supplies to insurgents under the guise of logistics. That was why he was killed. And now, they wanted to erase his daughter too. Inside the darkened station, Miriam helped Aisha upload the files to a secure satellite transmitter. Once this is sent, she said, the whole nation will see it. But be warned, this will not end quietly. As the files uploaded, a low rumble echoed in the distance, engines. They had been found again. Rambo growled. We stand our ground, Aisha whispered. We finish what my father started. The final showdown began with headlights cutting through the trees. Armed men surrounded the station. A voice called out through a megaphone, Aisha Gambo. You can still walk away. Hand over the drive and disappear. Aisha stepped out, slowly, USB drive in one hand, crowbar in the other. You're too late. The truth is already out there. The attackers moved forward, but this time, Aisha wasn't alone. Behind her, more military vehicles appeared, lawyer officers led by Miriam's unit. A brief but fierce gunfight broke out. Rambo, tireless and loyal, moved like a phantom of war, defending Aisha with everything he had. When it was over, only silence remained. The air was thick with smoke and truth. But Aisha's battle wasn't over yet. She would have to face the consequences of exposing the powerful and protect her father's legacy with her own life. The dawn broke with a pale orange light, painting the zone to hills in a deceptive calm. Smoke still rose in thin spirals from the battleground around the old telecom station. The stench of gunpowder lingered in the air. Aisha stood beside Rambo, whose fur was singed but spirit undeterred. Her eyes, once filled with fear, now burned with determination. The transmission had been successful. The files had gone viral across social media and television networks overnight. Journalists, whistleblowers, and activists picked up the story like wildfire. The scandal was exposed. Military officials accused of funding terror through corrupt fuel deals were suddenly scrambling for cover. But exposure didn't mean safety. Aisha was summoned to Abuja under the protection of a select group of military officers, led by none other than General Oledimeji, her father's former comrade in arms. Once a legend, now grey-bearded and sharp-eyed, he embraced Aisha like a daughter he never had. "Your father always feared his truth would die with him," he said. "But you've lit the fire he started." The Nigerian president announced a full investigation into military corruption. Arrests were made. Some resigned. Others disappeared before they could be caught. Aisha testified in front of a special committee, her voice calm but resolute, with Rambo by her side like a statue of loyalty. But even as the nation watched her, threats still followed her. Anonymous calls. Unmarked cars parked outside her compound. Whispers that justice had limits. So she did the unthinkable. Aisha shut down her logistics company. She left her home in Kaduna and moved to a rural village near Bauchi. Not in fear, but in strategy. There, she started a small training camp for women drivers. Not just any women, widows, survivors, former victims of trafficking and abuse. She named the camp Jaden Gambo, Gambo's house. It became a sanctuary for the forgotten and a factory for resilience. Rambo became a local legend, often seen patrolling the camp like a guardian spirit. His name alone sent fear into anyone who dared cause trouble in the area. One rainy evening, as Aisha sat with the women around the